Hey everybody, welcome back to another White Roots recap here on Patreon and YouTube with Jade and XD.
Tristan called Mix Luke, Mix Ben Affleck. When I was and I called him that henceforth through the remainder of the episode.
I'm going to call him Mix Ben Affleck because he looks exactly like that.
He does. I was like, oh, spot on. You're married to me.
Yeah. So, I forgot the title of this episode.
Motherland.
Normally I write it in Motherland, which...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. Mm-hmm. So it opens, with memories of bringing down the Bisquick with Blanna. And while she,
is that what that was?
Yeah, she was like making pancakes with Blanna.
Oh, I was like, they're making goulash. I wasn't sure.
Well, I think they were prepared for Taco Tuesday in real time.
Oh.
Because, that's what, millennials do when they get together and they don't know how to cook like that.
Right, yeah, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday with Mel Beck.
Yes, that. Or now Casamigos, because it's been co-opted. Did you see that girl? Oh my God. That blue-faced girlfriend girl, the girl who don't have the tooth. She says she had an episode. I don't know what happened. I don't know the ins and outs, so. But she was like, I was gone off the Casamigos and I had an episode. And I was like, y'all need to stop naming these brands.
Gone off the episode? What does that mean?
Gone off the Casamigos.
Oh,
she was having an episode. I think she suffers from some mental health issues, but she also has an alcohol issue apparently. I learn all these things when I look for trash for getting grown. Otherwise, I don't know shit.
I have thoughts about that relationship with Krishan and Blueface.
Yes. Yes.
And probably one we should save for like Love After Lockup. Because it's along that realm.
Okay.
Or hell, even Inmate to Roommate.
We'll wait.
Remind me.
Inmate
Actually
to
write this down in my...
roommate.
Yeah, remind me of that.
Yeah, I will.
Yes, I need to make a note. But yes. But yeah, back to Canadian trauma. So they got... This is so wild. I would never thought to see MAGA Canadians.
But they exist.
Yeah, I know. I just found out that, I watch wrestling. Yeah. But Chris Jericho, he's MAGA. And that's so wild because you motherfucking Canadian. Like, that's so crazy.
I told you, Antonio had an Airbnb roommate when he was temporarily staying in D.C. And it was a Chinese boy from China who was MAGA. Like, he was here on a visa, like, on a specific situation, like, lived in China. And was MAGA. Like, was wearing MAGA hats throughout the house. Like, a terrible human being. Like, he was difficult to live with. And, and when he told me that, I was like...
American cosplay.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, yeah. Well, anywho, MAGA is posted in front of June and them's crib as like, we don't want your kind here.
Go back
don't
to
use
your
our
country.
Fountains. Go back to your country. This is Maple Leaf only. Yes. Gilead refugees are the niggers of the world.
They are back on the bus.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, Serena's calling everybody for help. She blowing up TT Rita's phone. Oh, TT Rita's in this episode, which is important.
Yeah.
And she blowing up the household phone, trying to get help because you remember she's been detained by Canadian immigration and they took her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Luke, mixed Ben Affleck, was like, you know, recapping like, yeah, we got that bitch, yada yada yada, and June was like, relax. We ain't besties, but I did save the baby because the baby ain't did nothing.
And they tried her for a second. They was like, what, bitch, y'all friends now?
Right.
Like, you know.
Right.
And it was like, no.
Cause it's so complicated. Cause I'd be like, yes, you should have drop kicked that baby, but no, you should have drop kicked her, not the baby.
You know what she should have done?
Stole the baby and raised it as her own.
Yes, but no. She should have helped the birthing situation. I totally get that. You know, baby's innocent, blah, blah, blah. And then once she had that baby and pushed that baby out of her, right before she handed the baby, she should have slapped the taste out of her mouth. Indefinitely. Every taste bud straight off that tongue. And then you can have your baby. And while that does not make us even by any means, once again, lest I remind you, I was your slave.
Right.
Like, it's so fascinating to me how many times June has to remind this bitch, like, skirt. I was your slave.
Yeah.
Like,
you were my owner.
Like, what? You beat me, bitch. Like,
yeah.
What?
Fuck out of
You
here.
tried to steal my baby. You beat me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You let your husband rape me. Like, you ruined my life for the almost a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, Commander Lawrence, he's trying to get everybody on board with New Bethlehem. Now, then he gets all like the non-rapey commanders, which I gotta tell you is an oxymoron. And, you know, they walking around this little Pleasantville type of situation.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly
it was real
what
creepy.
was.
They found an island somewhere, which I'm assuming
Connecticut.
is, Rhode Island, places we don't care about. And
they're haunted. New England is haunted.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what nobody
oh, I know. I used
says.
to live there.
It's haunted.
I lived in New England for 4 years. Every original 13 colony is haunted, and you know why.
Yeah, it is.
So,
because Pennsylvania's haunted.
yeah.
Virginia's haunted. New England is haunted. You're right.
Yeah, just all of New England is haunted.
And upstate
'cause
New York
Boston
is haunted.
Yeah,
It is.
Like, because Boston at night is a creepy scene. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very odd space.
My father said when he lived in Boston, he would open his glove compartment at night before he would go in his apartment. He was just to show niggas like there's nothing here.
Yeah.
It gets wild. It gets wild.
Yeah, it's like everything creaks in New England. Like, I lived in Connecticut, and you know that's where, like,
It's
you know,
creeks and hollows.
all the goose and goblins. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there's always a faint whisper in the air. You know what I'm saying?
Near a creek.
Yes. Even when there ain't no creek.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's even like driving in Connecticut, like, you know, the Merritt Parkway, like going like when you don't want to go down 95, like that. It doesn't have any like lights or anything. Hell, even in Brooklyn, the Jackie Robinson Expressway is creepy. Like when you go through that,
and you pass all them
where the
cemeteries.
cemetery, yeah.
The Jackie Rob.
Oh my God.
The Jackie Rob was set up to kill niggas. I don't care what nobody says. People are gonna get to joyriding, twisting and turning, and it works my ever loving motherfucking nerves. Do you hear me? I'm like, this is not the place for this.
It's not.
It's not.
It won't be ever. But anywho, so he shows them this island, and it looks like some weird
Rhode Island.
cult shit, but I mean, that's what this is. And, you know, Lawrence is like, hey, I fucked up the last one.
Which, by the way, sorry. Remember, I have been confused all this time as to who he is. I don't know why it didn't sink in until now that he's the ultimate creator of Gilead. And what his motive was.
And how everybody kind of ousted him because they got too rich with power.
And he was like, and that's why he called them religious kooks and all kinds of things, because he's like, this was not from the standpoint I didn't do this for religion. I did this because humanity was dying. And they were the only people I knew who could help me execute this and who were on board with the shit. And then it went amok and out of control. So I didn't, this was the first time that I like really figured out what his motive was in his role.
And I have a feeling the end of this whole series is going to be this idea of you can't create new societies because people are going to be trashed with whatever iteration you try to give them.
Yes, everything he described was America. It's like New Bethlehem. I was like, the USA? What is it?
Yeah.
What?
It's where you can be free.
Faux.
And so, like, you know, a couple of the commanders were a little, and you know, Lawrence was like, you could end up like putting him dead, you know, if you're not on board. So
he said it so, you know, obscurely, but one of them came back and was like, my apologies, I'm on board with whatever you had. It's fine.
I'm sorry. So sorry, Chief.
Please,
totally on board.
Don't put one in my scalp, nigga. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm good. We good. Okay. White.
Exactly. Yes. And he also asked Commander Spicy White to be his right-hand man or consigliere, you know, because that's kind of what he is.
Yeah.
So the commanders are like, well, how is the other people gonna know? Like, you try to branch off into like make your own country. And, you know, Lawrence was like, well, we don't have newspapers and internet in Gilead, so how they gonna know?
He's like, remember free speech and like free press?
Yeah. Not here.
Y'all got rid of that.
Right.
And they were like, okay, well, we need an example. We need somebody who's going to help. We need the dog who's going to lead all the sheep to New Bethlehem. And June is that dog for them because she is the greatest face of rebellion within Gilead. So she is who they need, actually, at this point, ironically enough, in order to try to convince people to come to New Bethlehem, because this sounds nuts. Why the fuck would I return to the place that severely oppressed me, that enslaved me? Why would I return to the place that enslaved me? Like, willingly.
Enslaved me.
So they were like, we need June to do this willingly so that everybody else can get on board and come through. And then this will be our little, like, Puerto Rico. This will be our little, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can, like, low-key take care of them, but not really. And they won't have all the restrictions that Gilead has. And then we don't have to worry about people in Gilead finding out like that just yet, because they don't have no press anyway. They're not allowed to know anything. And the women are still not allowed to read. So, you know, this is like their answer for now.
In my head, I was like, okay, if you build this, right, and it's like, ain't old Gilead gonna attack, like, militarily? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and just take it because they took over America.
Right. Like, what makes you think the eyes won't invade and all of that? So, and that's the thing that he's also failing to recognize is, like, yes, at this point, people are apologizing to you and they're, like, walking on eggshells. But these niggas could band together and decide to just overthrow your whole shit and just have Gilead. But the problem is that Gilead is getting so much bad press, so much bad representation, that they need something to revamp how they're appearing in the world.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they have Serena out here down bad. She up here in jail. pumping in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just zzz, 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 zzz. But you know, what can she do?
She don't have a choice. And this was her request. She's getting a lot more than anybody else would because she's pumping so that bitch Wheeler. Because as much as Serena deserves everything that's happening to her, let's be clear. That lady there is a piece of motherfucking work. Somebody needs to put their whole foot in her back and push her down the
McCartney,
stairs.
okay? Like, she is such a bitch.
She is like a monster. Is exactly what. But Serena was a monster. Serena evolved into a full blown. It started off, you was just a monster with sugar on your face. Now, she evolved into this power hungry, complete like demon. So
she turned into Fred.
Yeah, low key worse.
Well, yeah, that's because white women are worse than the white men.
Capable.
I was like, are we after the 15-minute mark? Yeah, we are. White women.
They are. They just they're dangerous. They're dangerous in so many ways. They be putting the whispers in the ear and the batteries in the back. And so, while I'm not saying white men are not dangerous and evil and wicked, there's a special power that is held within the Pusois. So, Melissa McCartney comes to the prison to collect the breast milk, and she's being a complete bitch, mind you, because this is how, you know, all they know of her is that she ran away, that she killed her bodyguard, and she took their baby, because that's what they was plotting on from day one.
And, you know, she's super cold, and we learn, you know, that she's taking care of Noah. And Serena's, like, apprehensive about this all. But she, like, she tries to apologize. You know, like, you know, sorry for killing your, like, you know, your Esau or whatever his name is. Apparently, he's still alive. And
he didn't die. Okay.
And he alive. Because she was like, oh, he had a vest on, he was fine. But the Wheelers are low-key abusing the child. Like, the child is 1 month old, and they doing, like, the let it cry out method.
Yeah, what the fuck?
You're like, no. Although, fast forward a little bit, I didn't understand how they had, like, the black nanny. I was so confused. I was waiting for you, baby. I was so confused by that whole
infrastructure
part.
of their Gileadian home is interesting, but spoiler alert, I know, how can you do that on a recap? When I was looking at the previews for next week, she says, Serena's talking to the evil lady, and the evil lady says to Serena, my husband we don't have to adhere to the rules of those commanders, or like, we don't answer to those commanders. And so, you know, we're going to see what happens, but I remember her saying that in the preview for next week, and I was like, so they follow some Gilead ways, but then they've also kind of created their own shit within the shit, which is how, like, religions were born and all kinds of shit, and how the world has become so divisive by people taking iterations and bits of things and being able to abuse them to their liking.
It's about to be the North and the South.
Baby, okay? Confederacy on different levels. So, she comes to collect the breast milk. We find out that she's abusing the baby. Meanwhile, Luke... Mix Ben Affleck and June and Poussey.
That's genius.
It is. Are still being accosted by immigration citizens, aka Canadian MAGA. And Mix Lou suggests, like, hey, maybe we just move. Like, why are we here? We came here because we had to, but at this point now we can go. to Europe or Alaska or Hawaii, somewhere else that's not here. But June doesn't want to do that because it's going to get her further and further away from Blana.
Which, yeah.
We have already...
This episode changed my...
I know.
My idea. Because you know how I feel about Blana. Yes. But I understand now what's it all about.
Yes.
So, Commander Lawrence calls June. And lures her with some news about Blana. Like, come over here, I got some news about Hannah. I know you want to talk to me.
He's so aggravated. He gonna call talking about beautiful weather in Toronto. Like, okay, so you try to tell me you in town?
All right. So he gives the whole New Bethlehem speech to June. Like,
I mean, and let me tell you something. Comes with the most leftist of reasoning. Not even leftist, like, just logical. He's like, yeah, you know, the world, especially America, was under capitalism, and all of the rules were created by slave owners. So this shit was set up for to be doomed from the start. He goes, and I used Gilead as this method to try to bring more babies into the world, and then it got out of my hands. And I was like, so you are very well aware of bullshit.
Absolutely. And June looks at him crazy, like, what? No. This is dumb.
Yeah, no.
And on top of that, you want me to do what?
And he's like, nah, I get... But then notice how he keeps flip-flopping back and forth between, well, if you come to New Bethlehem, then I can reunite your family, but I can't stop your child from getting placed into a household. So what? So which is it? Is it Uchiwali or is it one mic?
Basically, I can let you see her, but that's it.
Yeah. And that's dumb as hell.
That's dumb. Like, for all that, she could stay. No shade. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so therefore, you're going to lure me there and watch you do whatever you want to do to her while I'm in your captivity. No.
Under this fake guise of freedom, because you all have already built the homes. You've already, like, you designed everything. This is everything but Gilead with no handmaids.
So, you know, Lawrence was like, think about it. You know, and of course June is like, oh my God, my black baby, I miss her. And, you know, sure. So she contemplates.
He gives her a cell phone to get in contact with him. He also offers her the idea of protection through Commander Spicy White. And he's like, listen, we all know how he feels about you. He's going to look out for you. He's been looking out for you. And, you know, I've been grooming him to be my next in line. I died when he said I've been grooming him, not sexually. I was like, who did y'all come? Who came with the funny this season?
I feel like that's just him because he's just like that.
Too. I know.
Yeah.
I think this is him in real life, actually.
Yeah. It was just, he's very like matter of fact. It's very funny. Yeah. So June gets home and mixed Ben Affleck is like, hell no. Like, there's no way you can wrap this in a little bow. And believe me, June tries. She's like, okay, but listen, we get to be next to Blana and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. And like, she talks about Commander Lawrence. She was like, that's my friend. And
whoa.
Which is a strong word, but she presents it like he's done everything that she has asked of him,
which is not a lie.
Part.
He delivered what's his face to her so she could kill him, Fred. He got her out of there. He got the kids out of there. He did all the things that he said he was going to do, but also, we're gonna go from a biblical stance, which is usually not even my way. Don't they be saying the devil be offering y'all everything? Oh, the devil will give you a movie deal and a this and a that and a wah 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 and a wah wah wah, figuratively, you know, if you just give over your soul or whatever for him. And that's what it seems like. It's like, yes, he's done all these things, but ultimately, he created Gilead. Like, he's the Osiris of this. He's the reason for all of this shit.
Like, I have a strong, as much as we talk about burning society down and like burn it all to the ground or whatever, I have a very wary of what that looks like afterwards, right? So like, who's creating the new, you know what I mean? So like, there was a show on Vice called Something Land, Farmland or whatever, where it was about these white people who were in the middle of the jungle and they try to create a utopia society. And of course it imploded on itself. Well, it imploded on itself because it was in the middle of like a Latin country, number one, and then number two, like it was in the middle of like a sovereign country, and then number two, like they just all started arguing and just didn't work. Just like regular America.
Right. Just like,
so it's just
you
know, societies and people are way too complex for you to just start anew, you know, and yes, they do start somewhere, but I think people are not have more self-interest than you know, back in 1776, you know what I mean? 'Cause back then they just wanted slaves.
Yeah, that's all it was.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a common thread.
Yeah.
And get away from, you know, British people. Now here, everybody wants different freedoms and liberties, and not everybody can agree on it. So, but I digress. Luke is very confused about June's compassion for Commander Lawrence.
Yeah.
And he's like, just let me protect you sometimes, June. And she's like,
skirt, pussy.
Yeah. You the one that got mollywopped in front of me. I was fine, and I came out unscathed.
I
don't
literally,
need you.
7 years of this shit, nigga, without you is what I've done.
I pledged, okay?
But she doesn't, it's not really, that she said that out of anger.
Did she?
What the fuck? What is this siren? No, she feels that way. But also, the biggest thing that came from it was, she was like, I don't need protection. Hannah needs protection. And you could tell she's in this mentality of like, beat the clock. Like, she's trying, while this has been going on for so long, she is now like, she's feeling like time is running out, in the sense where Hannah's really going to be put in danger because she will no longer be viewed as a child. And so she's trying to beat the clock on that. And she is scrambling at this point, which is why she is, whatever she's grasping at straws, whatever is offered to her is what sounds appealing in the moment. You got Commander Get Out, who is giving her this tempting offer of, if you just come to New Bethlehem, you're going to be closer to your child. Meanwhile, you also have Tuello, who we can now introduce back into the episode.
Oh, yes, he comes. Yes.
He comes to the crib to let them know that they have found Hannah. And have located Hannah. But, you know, June and them just got to sit tight. And that is not good enough for her. She's like, no, I need to act now. I need to go now. But sit tight with that. So, meanwhile, Serena is getting released back into the Wheeler's custody.
Yeah, because Commander Lawrence was like, hey, listen, like, you did a lot, so the best I could do for you is to, you know, get you over to the Wheeler's house. So you could be at least close and sniff your baby. Like, I can't do anything else for you, you know.
She's horrified, and she's making
Yeah.
demands out the ass. Well, I need this then. Well, they need to, and he's like, you don't have no legal rights.
No, baby.
You have
that's not the
none
life
right
no
now.
more, baby. Mm-mm.
They have legal rights to your child. Like, the fact that we are getting you out of prison is enough, girl. And the tables are just fully turning on her. Nisho is having a full-blown meltdown because of the protesters outside the crib. It's constant horn honking. They drawing shit on the sidewalk.
Try.
They throwing shit at their fucking front doors. They're just rightfully so. A toddler is gonna have a breakdown about this. And we get a sweet memory of June singing a song that she used to sing to Hannah back in the day, that she's now singing to her, and she's talking to her about her big sister. And
I want you to know your black sister. Well, she didn't say black, but
because why was that what I was thinking when she was telling her?
I wrote in my notes in parentheses, I want you to know your black sister.
Because I
gotta be
I said, what's
honest.
this song?
Yeah. Because and it's so kind of rude. It's just like anytime Nichole is in trouble or in crises, all of a sudden she want to talk about Hannah. Like, that's fucked up.
Listen,
what about Nichole and
what about
her?
Nichole? She in trouble right
Yeah.
now. Wait, even
Yeah.
earlier when they was having the argument, because tense moments can lead to that. You know what I'm saying? So you have, Luke. We didn't get too much into. Mixed Luke is so adamant about not returning for very obvious reasons, but the biggest reason being he's like, I am not going to take Nichole into that situation willingly. Like, I love Hannah, that is my child, but to take another child and put them in that situation, who when she already has her freedom, is I'm not doing that. And then June, with that being her oldest, her first, all of those things, and her mother guilt, she's like, I have to find a way to save my baby. I don't care when it happens. I've got to find a way to save my baby. And so they're both arguing for the same thing on different ends. And all I could think to myself was, Mix Ben Affleck, that's not even your child.
No, not at all. Not at
It's
all.
not even your kid.
They all think it's still Fred's
my
baby.
nigga.
Yeah, Ron, you are dissolved. Make like the 80s and disappear.
And disappear. You know what I'm saying? Go to Bali. You know,
Yeah.
blacks in Bali. You know what I'm saying? You can do, just do whatever you need to do. But you've got your freedom, sir. You're not taking it. You're not taking the freedom.
Yeah, no,
You're
it's
not
right
taking
there,
it.
wrapping nice little bow. You can go.
But you can tell it's tearing him up to see, because I think that's when it really settled in, her desperation for saving Hannah and where that was really coming from, like a mother. So she
Yeah, which is a theme of this episode, the desperation, or like what you will do as a parent
for your child. So she wakes, as she falls asleep in a bed with Nichole, and she wakes up to Tuello and Ben Affleck talking about New Bethlehem. And Tuello's basically like begging her almost to not consider this option. He's like, all the ramifications. He's like, no, let me, like, they are hitting you with the okie fucking doke. Like, I know our plan is taking a little bit more time, but it's in effect, and I can't say anything about it. But it's happening. Just trust it. And I get it. It's like, here you are hearing an ultimate solution that is like, do this and this will happen for you. Over here, you hear, we're working on it for you, but I can't tell you anything else. And you can understand why this side might be a little bit more appealing for her. But,
Sure.
you know, the turtle and the hare. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, the ant and the grasshopper.
Gotta
Like,
trust and wait on the Canadians, girl.
sometimes you've got to just sit tight for like a hot second.
Just hold on. Help is on the way. Hold on tight to the Canadians' non-changing hand, okay? his everlasting arm, okay?
He's like, don't let the
Canadian.
niggas outside get you fucked up on Canada. We trying,
No.
I swear.
Just give us a minute. Damn. 5 minutes on fries.
Okay?
I promise.
It's just a 4 to 6 week processing time. I promise it's coming.
Yeah,
That's in relation to
exactly.
my pants. But I know the process took a little longer. Y'all niggas showed support. But anyway,
So like after Mark tells June that it would be the end of America if she chooses to go, because it's also a thing, because it's a lot of pressure. Like, bitch, if you go, that's the end of the world that you know it. And Mark Twella was like, don't you owe it to your country? And June was like, fuck the country. Fuck my husband.
June got black real quick.
Yeah.
She's like, what this country ever done for me? Nigga, I was a slave for 7 years.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all owe me.
Like, reparations. No.
Okay. So, after that, June and TT Rita chat on the stoop. You know, they have a real woman moment. You know, like a girl. And so June asked TT Rita, like, what would you do? And she was like, listen, I have made a peaceful life here and I'm trying to move on. However, I don't got a kid like that.
Not bad.
But if I did, meaning, and she's referring to like her son that died. She was basically, if her son was still around and it was that situation, she would move heaven and earth to do whatever she could.
Yeah, it'd be a different story.
Be with her baby.
Yeah.
So, you know, June was like, all right, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Like, I know. And the thing about it is, her and Mix Ben Affleck are always going to have different viewpoints because there is just the difference of experience and lived experience. Yeah. And while he did experience his trauma on one side, he didn't experience to the depths that she did. And so they're always going to have that misunderstanding between the two of them. But TT Rita was there, so she gets it. Which, by the way, there was a lot happening here. Fillers?
Yeah. I don't know. I think she's native, or is she Latina? I don't know.
No,
like she
black.
just has really like. Really? I thought. Because she was on a game show I saw her on, and I felt like
she was on Drag Race Canada too.
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale, and then let's look. TT Rita. Okay, here we go. Amanda Brugel, and she is. Her mother's English, and immigrated to Canada, while her biological father, whom she's never met, is African American. She was raised by her white mother and her South Asian or Southeast Asian of Jewish descent stepfather.
Okay. So she's okay.
Black and white.
Okay, cool. I don't have much.
I know. I just noticed that cheeks was full. That's all.
Right. So June goes to see Serena Joy down at the detention center. And Serena talks to her about New Bethlehem. You know, like what, some little intel. And in return, Serena was like, I need your help. And June was like, skoit. We're not, and she laughs at her face. She's like, LOL, we're not friends, baby.
Because Serena says to June, or poses the question to June in relation to her and her relationship with the Wheelers and what's happening right now. How do you go live with a woman who is trying to steal your baby? When I tell you I
Yeah.
screamed, I screamed.
All of the irony and audacity in this scene. How did you do that? And then Serena was like, well, how did you put up with me? And then June gives her the playbook on how to defeat the commanders in Gilead. She was like, so listen, go in, play the game, but all the while you're plotting revenge. You never stop plotting revenge. As soon as you think you stop it, you need to keep on going.
And she
until
said,
the right course of action.
Serena said, is that what you did with us? And June said, is Fred dead? Is this nigga gone?
Yeah.
And she's like, go back.
I was like, period.
Act like a handmaid. She was like, and are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Go back in, act like a handmaid, and plot that revenge. Plot that revenge. She's like, you can't help your child if you're not with them.
She called herself a better Christian than Serena.
She did. That was
which
funny.
got under her skin.
It did. Serena don't give a fuck about being Christian, no. She don't give a fuck about that for real.
No, it's just, I think it's just a moral standard or like a standard that she feels as though that makes her superior than everybody else. But I don't think that's the only grade she can go by.
It's true, but it did get under her skin because June was like, I'm a better Christian than you. That's how I was able to turn another cheek. She's like, how you let a nigga enslave you for 7 years and then, we be right here having a conversation with each other because I am better than you. But,
exactly.
But right after that, she did give her the play because ultimately June is a mother. And she's like, your baby deserves to be with you if nothing else. And so Serena goes back to the Wheelers' house, and as difficult as it is, she begins to play her role. And they really into this shit. You may speak. The lady tells her, I will take care of all the motherly duties. You will feed the child. And it was like,
yeah, Serena was gripping her hands real tight, trying not to respond, too harshly. And I know we're jumping forward a little bit, but, she goes up and she hears Noah crying, and she just runs up and on instinct, and, she's literally there to stop the baby from crying because they're tired of the baby crying.
Yeah.
And she busts in the little nursery where they meet this Trinidadian black woman who is like, hey, baby, he been waiting on you.
Not her being Trinity and then you giving her this Alabama.
She could be Terry Ann from Alabama.
Big mama ass accent. I got Trinity.
She could be Terry Ann from Alabama,
But she breastfeeds the baby and it's a reuniting. And listen, aside from who she is, it's a beautiful moment because it's like the longing to be with your child.
I wonder if that was her actual baby.
I thought about that too because I was like, if not, this editing is fantastic because that baby was on her titty.
Yeah, that baby latched on.
And she had a baby not too long ago, so I assumed, but I don't know.
That's what I thought too.
And so then let's go back a little bit. So June, so she goes to Commander Get Out and tells him, you got to stop Hannah from being married off.
Yeah, that's the only way I'll agree. And he's like, I can't promise you that, Queen. And he goes into this whole spiel about how he knows he fucked up Gilead the first time.
Yep.
And he keeps trying to he keeps trying to create a new society and it's not working.
And we see, and listen, I don't know how sincere he is because there was a little moment later I was like, obviously he's playing into her emotions, but I still think that there was a level of truth to it. He was like, if I could just like kill off, let the whole human race die off, like fuck this baby shit. If I could let the whole human race die off just to get Gilead off my conscience, I would.
Yeah, and
she's drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
Yeah, because Lawrence, tells Blaine later on that he thinks that June and crew will be there in about a year. And it's also weird how he's playing both her and Blaine together, because he's like, you could be related. You could be in the same house with 2 wives.
Kids, siblings will have one another. Like,
yeah, you could be with both of the women you love, even though he don't really love Rose like that.
No,
I think that's just he
tolerates her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Blaine's all open, like, oh my God, I could see my baby and my former runaway slave lover. But June gets a package.
Yes.
And it's a little DVD situation. And they pop it in the HP. And it is surveillance footage of B'Elanna at school.
And it looks like B'Elanna has the spirit of June.
Because she keep looking around.
Because she keep, like, watching herself. And, June has this entire breakdown of abandoning Hannah. And how, and her leaving. Because June could have left back when the kids got free. But she chose to stay because she was like, my mission has literally never changed. It's always been to get my child out of this situation. So seeing this ignited even more in her. And that's when Luke breaks it down to her, like, I'm not bringing Nishol into this situation. And it's a real hard moment for them as a family, where she's like, we might just have to be separated as a family then, because I'm never abandoning this mission. Like, I'm never going to do that. So Tuello comes over again and they show him the video, and he lets them know that that he's located B'Elanna in her school. And he's like, I know I said I couldn't say too much, and I still can't go into the fulls, but a raid is being planned, okay? Like, he calls her on the phone, because she's got this weird interaction with Poussey where she, like, needs to go to the store all of a sudden in the middle of eating dinner. And I think that's when she was going to plan to call Commander Get Out. And tell him she was going to come to New Bethlehem. But she got the phone call from Tuello instead while she was in the store. And he's like, we located her. We got eyes on her. Things are moving. Literally sit tight. It's happening. But just, like, chill out for a second. And she hugs the store owner, and she runs back home. And it's the first time that we've seen actual joy from June outside of flashbacks. And or those little moments with Commander Spicy White, or those little moments with Luke, her 2 lovers. And she goes back to the house to tell Poussey and Mix Ben Affleck that they're getting ready to raid Hannah's school, and they're getting her back, and it's a celebratory moment. And we get a final view of B'Elanna in the garden at school. The interpretation to me was that the raid was getting ready to happen, and B'Elanna was looking, she's smiling a little bit while she's gardening, and she's like, so I don't know if the raid's getting ready to happen. She sees what she's like, fine, I'm about to get out of this motherfucker. But we'll see what happens.
I have a feeling that I hope they don't injure her in this raid.
I hope they don't injure her. I hope it doesn't become a case too where she returns home and, like, hates her parents. I don't.
Well, that's what's gonna have to happen, because Hannah don't know them.
She don't. But I wonder how cognizant she is of how fucked up the situation is, because we have to remember that she was stolen at, like, 4 or 5,
like that.
and now she's 11. Okay, so it's been 7 years. They said she's about to be 12.
Yeah, so she was 5, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know that your memories change a lot. Like there's shit that Noah doesn't remember now. Like she'll be able to recall some stuff, and then some stuff I'll be like, you remember when you were 4? And even though she was such an aware little human to us at that time, their memories shift so fast. She'd be like, I don't remember. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really curious. We're on episode 8, so obviously this is getting ready to wrap up very soon, and we know next season is.
We got 2 more episodes, I believe, because it's 10 episodes, I believe. Yeah.
Yep, and the final season is the next season, I believe.
Yeah, it is, and which then it needs to be. I can't imagine it going.
How? You can feel the wrap up. I like that shows are. Listen, I do miss the days of 22 and 23 episode, you know, seasons, and you know, shows that went on for seasons and seasons and seasons, which you can do with sitcoms. But I also like these shows coming in knowing that they want to stop at a certain point, because I feel like that's what keeps fresh content and keeps it from getting stale.
I totally agree.
Because this season better than last season.
Yes. Yes. A lot more intense interactions.
But a lot more palatable. Less traumatic.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Well, anyway, friends, that was it for this week's recap of White Roots. We'll see you all next week. Bye.